Okay, so I got this spindle. It's the center spindle for a 42-inch Sears Suburban deck, scissor lift one. There is a difference on some of these where the grease fittings on the bottom here. Some of them are up in the top pulley. The only thing is just nice to have them all match, because some of the top covers will have a hole. But anyway, this one's locked up. It doesn't want to. Let me zoom out a bit. It doesn't want to turn. I ran it all last year and it didn't seem to be bad, but went to run her this spring and she sure is locked up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this nut off of here. I'm going to use an impact, and then I'm going to clean these holes out real good. And there's some Allen screws in there. That's going to be the first thing we do. Now this is 3/16 Allen wrench. Yeah, these set screws, make sure this end is good and still got that ring around it. If not, you got to dress it up or buy a new one. Make sure you get the dirt out. If you don't get the Allen wrench all the way down in, that's how you strip them out. Some of them come out harder than others. This one here, just take a crescent wrench. Because I'm lazy, that's what I had out of the toolbox. If you have the longer socket ones, you can use them too. We're going to get all three of these. I just take them all the way out, that way I can squirt penetrating oil in them. Okay, I think that nut's really supposed to be 1/16. I got 27mm on it. Let's see, this is locked up, so I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Yep. Now, I have to get that washer off of there. And next thing I'm going to do is put some, I'm going to use Freon. You can use Blaster, whatever you're going to do. I'm going to spray in each one of them holes I took the Allens out of and spray it up in here a little bit and let it just set for a minute. Then we're going to go to the press. Okay, after I let that soak for just a little bit, I start messing with it and come off. So there's one of your bearings. So next thing we're going to do is get this spindle out of there. And I will hit that with another shot of Freon. See if I can get any of it down around that bearing. Okay. So we got this thing in the press, supported on this flange. I got the nut started on here, just past the shaft, just in case something would happen. The Woodruff key, if it's stuck in the side, take that out. Now this is going to be the hardest part. This is probably the part that might get a lot of you guys if you don't have a press. I've seen people take and put pieces of wood on them and drive them out and stuff, but you really got to be careful not to mess up that thing, because this one's locked up, and most of them I've done is took quite a bit of force to get them out of there. Now watch, this one here go right out. You know, that one there, probably could have just took a soft hammer or something and smacked that one right out of there. The one I done the other day was in there so hard the whole press jumped when it came out. That's why I thought we was going to have a good video. But let's just be lucky it came out like that. Okay, so I took the nut back off. Here's that key called a Woodruff key. That's the one that goes in that shaft. You can get a pick or something, get up under a little screwdriver, and usually you can roll them up out of there. Be careful not to booger no threads. Okay, now this part here, there's your bearing. But you can clean up inside this thing right here. And you'll see the ledge, just like any other bearing race. You can come in here with something in the back and catch on that lip and knock that race right out of there. But you can see this cage here is already kind of compromised a little bit, this cup. And I don't know if you can buy the replacement cups. It's hard to get that bearing off of there now. Like I say, this top one you can just knock right in and out. But this bearing here, what I'm going to do is take and I'll get a dremel tool and I'll cut down in, and I'll probably cut on the cage and roll the cage off of it first, and then I'll cut into the race part of the bearing inside. You don't have to cut all the way through, just don't cut a good little piece right there, and we're going to hit it with a hammer and a chisel right where that crack is, where we cut, and this is a hardened inside, that race. It's so hard that when you do that, score it and hit it with a chisel, it should snap the race and it should open up enough that we can get that off of there. Now, like I said, I'm just going to use this Dremel tool with the cut-off wheel. Just be careful when you're doing this. Try not to cut into this cage. You can go at this at an angle like, and that's what I'm going to do is cut this cage right here first. And I'm going to try to rip the needles in the cage off. That way I can kind of, you got to cut into that just a little bit and then you can snap it with a chisel. So anyway, all I'm going to do is take this and destroy it with a hammer. And I should be able to bend and twist that enough, even if I got to cut it somewhere else, to be able to get that spread out enough to get it up over there. So I just got this piece here. Okay, so I just dug around a little bit. See, I didn't really cut the bottom. I just spread it out a little bit. Once you get the balls out, it'll come right up out of there. It's a shame this one's cut right here on this thing. Be nice if I could find a place to buy them cups. Anyway, this here is the inner race of the bearing right here. Hope you can see all that. But what we're going to do now is take that Dremel and cut whatever we can, a groove of some sort. Then we're going to lay this down on the bench and we'll smack it with a chisel and a hammer. I wish that wasn't there, but we're going to take and just, like I say, we'll try to slice into this. Try not to hit the shaft. If you hit it in March, just a wee little, it's not the end of the world, but just try not to cut into that. I don't know if you'll be able to see anything I do or not, but here we go. Turn. There it is, broke right now. See, all I did was cut a little on the top, and then you can get both halves off. That's why you don't have to mess up that thing. Now this here, if it breaks, it broke just a little more than a half circle. That's why one fell off and the other stuck on there. But you can just hit that with a chisel and it should come right off. Okay, so I cut this one. As you can see, good little bit right there. I cut it, and I cut it right there. This is a different spindle. This is an outside one with that different bearing. Hard thing is holding this and hitting it where you guys can see. This one right there, come on. And it don't take much to cut it with the Dremel. You just gotta be careful not to cut into that outside piece. Or again, where it breaks, usually one side will come off. And the other side you gotta persuade. Well, I'm gonna have to put that in there and I'll try to hit it. See if I can break another chunk off maybe. I say it's hard to do. just by doing it freehanded. Best thing to do would be put this in a vise. But anyway, we'll get that one off. I'll knock that right off here in a second. This one had a different bearing than the other one. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's LM11949, and then the race number LM910. LM11910. Okay, let's put it that way. And I'll show you what the other bearing that I took out of this big spindle in the middle. It's a set 16. I don't remember the numbers on it. I'll have to. I got new bearings. I'll look the number on and show you.